Yo, what's happening? Welcome back.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
What's happening, friends? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. Hey, look. Microphone cover. So hopefully, not only am I branded now by the handheld microphone, but also hopefully the little sounds won't be as bad when speaking into the microphone, and therefore the audio quality should be better. I've heavily invested into it now. Whether it's, Shure SM7Bs, expensive Elgato arms, solid state logic interfaces, cloud lifting boosters, expensive Sennheiser microphones. I just like good quality. If you remember, I did my studies, my music degree in music production, so I want good gear, man, essentially. So welcome on back. We are discussing Chelsea, funnily enough. How good are we? Where's the squad now? The window has firmly slammed shut, mercifully. And we do have a lot of players, and are people sleeping on Chelsea? Is Enzo Maresca, has he got new developing tactics? I do find it fascinating how in recent press conferences, he's essentially said, I've made more changes than anyone else in the league. Players, we know they tactically versatile, positionally versatile players, and therefore he won't do a dogmatic same setup every time, which is crazy really, because when Chelsea hired Enzo Maresca, that's what everyone thought they were getting. And although some principles remain the same and very, very I'll say dogmatic, the shapes and setups do change, and we're going to speak a little bit about that today, and how good can Chelsea be? Are we going to score a lot of goals? Are we going to win trophies and titles? And is Enzo Maresca going to revolutionise how he plays? One thing is for sure, he does switch it up, and I tell you what, the kind of managers that stay the same, even at a high level, are finding it frustrating. I think the best example of that at the moment would be Pep Guardiola. He has evolved over the years and changed certainly his profile of players. He went from very small, diminutive, sort of number 10s all over the pitch to getting loads of big, strong boys, 4 centre-backs across the back 4. A hard man in midfield, Fernandinho, Rodri, a big man up top in Erling Haaland, after going for false 9s previously in his career. But, his sort of same principles of strangling a game, trying to sort of, I suppose, drain the life out of the game, is not necessarily working as well as it used to for old Pep. And then, of course, a good example of that would be for the second season in a row, he's lost to young Fabian Hurtzler, Brighton, after he changed the game. And Pep doesn't have many in-game changes, in terms of reacting. He's got this Rubik's Cube all conquering philosophy that does get tweaked itself, but it's almost like he makes a decision on how he's going to play and tries to stay like that all season. But what I'm getting to here is I think maybe this is the time in the Premier League, in the ever-shifting landscape of this wonderful and difficult league, where managers are going to need to change a lot in-game. And you see people like Thomas Frank doing really well. I know they lost the last game out. Fabian Hurtzler, and maybe Enzo Maresca, and indeed, other Andoni Iraola and stuff like that. Maresca changes a lot the shape, so I want to talk about it. By the way, welcome back. How's it going? Lovely to see you all here with me. Thank you for your continued support on the channel. If you want to support me as a content creator, simply like and subscribe and comment. You can share if you want. And you could also drop them sweet hype points down below. I think that helps me out as a YouTuber. But we are slowly we are 200 and let's do some maths. 265. Yeah, 265 subscribers off 199,000. Ooh, mama. So thanks for the support. Just quickly as well, lovely to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek getting called up for England. Obviously, this affects me as an England fan and Chelsea fan. I loved Ruben at Chelsea. I thought he was kind of one of, not the great wasted talents, because he did offer something, but there was a period under Maurizio Sarri where he and indeed Hudson-Odoi looked like they were going to be the future in terms of creativity after Eden Hazard. And indeed, really important for England, but it never really worked out like that, sadly. Anyway, I'm going to show you some tactics stuff now. I'm going to pull up this thing which I made before on sharemytactics.com. don't be overwhelmed by that. It's very, very simple, really. I just want to talk about in possession, Maresca's box midfield, his 3-box-3. You see this all the time. You see this with managers that start off a back four like Maresca. You see this with back five managers. Both Tuchel and Conte at Chelsea ended up sort of having something similar, double sixes essentially. But the box midfield is essentially attacking with 5 and defending with 5. That's kind of what I wanted to say with Tuchel and Conte. But it's this box midfield now we're seeing more and more and more. And this is what he wants to say in possession with certain players. Now, as you can see here, I've listed potential suitors. I've written Kuka. So it's also very important to note that when you achieve this box midfield in possession, one of the players recently under Maresca, now remember he used to invert a midfielder into central defensive midfield, and you might see that sometimes, yeah? Although Reece James comes on as a midfielder now, he's not even coming as an inverting right back, he'll come on just straight up as a midfielder. But this is really important tactics that we saw over the Club World Cup, and indeed what I think Maresca is trying to cook up moving forwards. A box midfield, but achieved by one fullback tucking in, and one fullback going forward to create width instead of a winger. So not just starting with 2 conventional wingers, and that's essentially what you're seeing here. I just quickly realised I've got Xavi Simons there, which I need to remove immediately because it's making me ill. There we go. I've upgraded Xavi Simons with the Elite Buonanotte, as you can see here. So yes, this is what you have. I was just explaining about the back 3 and one of the 2 getting forward. We've seen Cucurella go forward and be that width holder on the left quite a lot and really make sort of a lot of aggressive runs forwards. But for the sake of this box midfield, we're not going to use the left-hand side as an example. We're using the right. Now, I've showed you this guys before. It's a quick reminder before we build lineups. So we'll go with Gusto, and the big revelation, or one of the revelations of late, is Maresca using Gusto as a flying right back, rather than inverting him into this space where he just keeps missing goal-scoring chances and can't get back and defend well. Gusto's a really good recovery defender. He gets back quickly, he can make slide tackles, defensive actions in the box. We've seen him do that a lot. And of course, under Pochettino, why he got so much plaudits and excited Chelsea fans is because he was flying up and down a conventional right back. Most of last season, the majority, Maresca really tried all these inverted positions. It didn't work, but we've seen him lately go forward and hold the width. So him or James holding the width on the right, a conventional starting left winger like Gittins or Garnacho, the 2 new summer signings, or indeed Pedro Neto, one of the form wingers, holding the width on the left. You have your quintessential, say 9 or false 9 here. It's Joao Pedro, Delap or Guiu in this instance. And then you have the 2 pocket players. So on the left, you can have Buonanotte, Joao Pedro, Palmer. On the right, you can have Enzo Fernandez. Of course, we've seen got a goal and assist the last game out there. I've written him here as well. You could essentially swap these guys over, and they would swap. And then you've got I've written Enzo here, but yeah, Enzo predominantly, plays in the left pocket. Palmer, Esteval, Joao Pedro, all these kind of players here, and indeed Santos as well, Andre Santos. I know I've listed him down here, Santos, but we've seen him play central defensive midfield already for Maresca, but he originally was earmarked to be playing one of these 2 roles. And of course, Caicedo finally having backup in Dario Asugo. Now, just quickly on the left centre-back here. If Cucurella is playing as the left centre-back and tucking in, which we haven't seen so much lately, we've seen Chalobah move over there and Cucurella get forwards and sort of maybe do a bit of inverting, but only on the left. We haven't seen that from the right in terms of the inverting into midfield of late. Hato, who although probably isn't seen as a centre-back, if we are going to tuck in like that, Hato probably could serve that role. So look, you've got backups with Cuckoo, Caicedo, with Hato and Asugo. That's really, really important. We've got some centre-backs, of course, a few are injured. And what I wanted to talk about there, as a quick reminder, essentially, is a good combining midfield box, double 6, 2 inside forwards, and 3 players across the top creating the width. Of course, there's other examples if you just forget, I'll change it another time, but essentially you can have it where someone will join midfield from left back, probably Cucurella. It won't be Reece James Augusto. Like I said, when James has been brought on lately, he's just brought on as a midfielder, not as an inverting right back. But that's what we've seen from Maresca lately in terms of the tactics in possession. You see often a 4-4-2 out of possession is pretty generic. It's two banks of four and a front two, a chosen front two to press. Often, it used to be Jackson and Palmer. Could be any players now. Now, of course, that shape I've just shown you there with the inside right pocket, Stevao can play there. That would probably be his preferred place to occupy on the pitch, like Cole Palmer. But we've seen them start an interchange as a sort of right number 10 and a right winger and swap around there. It kind of suits Chelsea better because under Pochettino and indeed under Maresca, we saw Noni Madueke starting at the right winger and Cole Palmer. And although they can swap, Noni Madueke is not going to operate in central areas as a number 10. He'd rather play out of position on the left wing than he would in the centre of the park. So, yeah. So let's build. I want to use this as well. Have a look at this. Chelsea Mandem FC, lineupbuilder.com. Have a bit of fun with this and build a lineup. Again, as you can see, what I've done here is I've done a box midfield in possession. So I want to see what we can do here. Now, I'm going to use Cucurella for the width here because this is kind of what we've seen a little bit recently. So that's got Cucurella there. We've seen the likes of Chalobah in this. I'm talking about, with injuries, we might see Benoit Badiashile sooner rather than later. Chalobah playing our position as a right footer on that left side of defence. In terms of availability, often you'd see Colwill play here. Obviously, Colwill's injured for most of the season, so we go with Tosin Adarabioyo, and he goes in there. And at right centre-back, suddenly you've got options. Now, I'd like to put in like a Reece James, maybe. There are, a few different options you could do. I mean, Wes Fofana's coming back into fitness, and I would love to start him in that role. That would be his preferred role there. Of course, I'm not going to be starting a Gusto here because I'm getting the width from the left-hand side fullback rather than the right. So I am going. Let's go with Wesley Fofana because he is my boy. In he goes. Right now, of course, first choice midfield double six will absolutely be Caicedo. Done. I am going to put in. Even though he's been in poor form recently, and he genuinely has, I'm going to put in Enzo Fernandez, but he keeps pulling himself out of the fire with goals and assists or just better second half performances. But of course, we saw the drama with Enzo Fernandez in the Fulham game at half time. He looked like he was going to rip the armband off. There was drama inside the stadium. Some Chelsea fans filmed. But despite all that, they were all hugs and kisses at the end. So Enzo Fernandez, where is he? There you go, found him in the end, just listed as Enzo. Enzo going in there. Now, Joao Pedro is going to be my starting false 9, and he is looking like the signing of the summer. So all we need to do now is finish the box midfield. And this is interesting. Remember, there's going to be no conventional left wing here, so I'm not going to be starting a Gittins or Garnacho in this particular tactic. One of them will come off the bench. You could, I suppose, maybe play Garnacho as like a little bit more of an inside forward, but we know from what Maresca said, he sees Garnacho as a winger. What I will do here is play this is gonna go. I'm going pretty radical here. What? Oh, he's there. Pedro Neto. And this is gonna be really juicy, guys. Because we've seen, let's see, Estevao should be listed here, I think. Oh, I can spell his name right. Hold on 1 second. Like I'm spelling it wrong. Hold on. Right, this is really freaking annoying. I can't get Stevao in because he's not listed on lineup builder for some reason. We could put a placeholder in there, I suppose. Palmer will be ready after the international break. Cole Palmer. And you might be like, oh, why is he playing in the left pocket? He's actually played really, really well in the left pocket there. Of course, you could just switch him over with this geezer here, and you could play another player like you could play a Gittins there, and then the Cucurella is coming into that sort of half space, and then how do I get rid of this guy? Oh, here we go. Remove. We can just, for the sake of it, we could even put in Garnacho. I do wonder if Chelsea are really, really, really high on Garnacho, that they'll think he can do something. And suddenly, here, you've got Cucurella overloading inside that space there. And then Garnacho can come inside. Cucurella can hold the width, which we've seen. And you still maintain a sort of box midfield. And you've attacking with 5, defending with 5, essentially. You can move players over as well. You can essentially defend in a back 4. And of course, in that instance, whereas Fofana, you'd see him as a de facto right back, which we have seen. And then you attack with you press with a 4-4-2. And in this instance, it'll be Joao Pedro and Cole Palmer. And suddenly you're looking like a little bit more, that Neto on his native right wing, Garnacho in his native preferred left wing. We could see, of course, backups, Buonanotte coming in for Cole Palmer. Delap eventually, but probably Gu coming in for Joao Pedro, Gittins here, Hato here for Cucurella, Dario Sugo here, and of course, if for example, as well, you're doing it the other way around, so we'll have to go like this, Chalobah, Tosin in the middle, Cucurella tucking into the back 3, and then essentially Fofana here will be replaced by either Gusto or James. And I'm going to put in Gusto because he has played really well as that advancing player. And then Gusto's holding the width here coming forwards. So suddenly you've got that back 3 again, Chalobah on a more familiar right centre-back role, Tosin playing that middle, spraying the balls around, Cucurella tucking in, Gusto holding the width on the right, Garnacho or Gittins holding the width on the left, and then you'd probably, in this instance, you'd sacrifice Neto because you will need a Stevau basically, but we can't put him in because he's not here on the lineup builder. So you get your box midfield there. That would be Stevau. He could swap in and out of Cole Palmer, and then you got your box midfield in possession. Now, that will, I think, be broadly the tactics for this upcoming Premier League season. Defending with 4-4-2, pressing, that's when there'll be some pressing triggers for the front 2, and then, the pressing of Chelsea has been excellent. And the box midfield in possession, and also, when we're winning, we've seen Enzo Maresca go to a back 5. Like a generic back 5. And playing defensive wing backs, you might get Wesley Fofana playing right wing back, or Reece James, who can defend very, very well at right wing back, or indeed Gusto. It's totally fine, and the tactical versatility is developing with Maresca, which I must say as a Chelsea fan is really, really promising. That's something I've wanted to see for a while. Man. So it is good. I am excited. I do think we've got a lot there. We've got a lot of tactical versatility. I mean, I haven't even listed players there, what Gittins can do. Obviously, Gittins versus Garnacho, very different. Garnacho will run into space a little bit more. Gittins will be able to slow the game down a little bit more. I don't know too much about Buonanotte, rather than him just looking like a good player against Chelsea when he's played. Of course, we know the differences with Joao Pedro and Liam Delap, very different profiles of 9s. Palmer and Stevau are very similar, which is great because you've got 2 sort of high-quality options there. Santos will be utilised in midfield in a rotation, the same way Hato and Usugo will be. They'll all sort of be deputies, really important deputies with loads of games. I think we've got a very, very strong squad, ultimately, with returning players to come in, like your Lavias and whatnot. I am impressed with the development of Enzo Maresca. I think he's a developing coach, and he's willing to change his principles and expand a little bit more. And the fact how we've spoken about that recently, how he's made the most changes, and, there's he's just got like a lot to choose from. I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't necessarily want to make predictions in this video because it's, you know, we're 3 games in, and Liverpool just look like they've got the air of champions in terms of not playing that well, getting maximum points, just signing Isak, you know what I mean? But they didn't sign Mark Guehi. I'm not going to say Chelsea are going to go for the title, but I do think we've got a genuine chance of breaking into that top 3, which actually is very, very good. And I feel like we could win a piece of silverware. There's a lot of Chelsea fans frustrated that we didn't spend loads and loads of money in the transfer market on a big player. To be honest, I'd rather look at this developing tactics and, you know, the philosophy of Maresca's Chelsea and how good that is, because I think it could be very exciting. We score a lot of goals. I look at how like Arsenal have played recently, very, very defensive. And to be fair to Arsenal, they did score a bunch of goals. But I feel like I'm going to enjoy watching, you know, the football Chelsea play more than perhaps an Arsenal. And I think the new signings will do that as well. Yeah, man, I wanted to do this video just to talk about tactics a little bit. We've done a lot of transfer stuff, so I wanted to speak about the shape and stuff like that. And a little bit more of a conversational podcast style video, less me just citing information and talking about that. I'll be very interested in your guys' thoughts and opinions on how Chelsea play, how you think we're going to play this season. And how you think we will develop. So please do leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'm very grateful for those. Thank you for liking and subscribing and, you know, dropping the hype points on the video. Apparently that helps. I'm hoping this kind of acts as a de-esser, this microphone cover, and the audio's the best it can be. Keep it locked, friends. I will, of course, react to any big talking points, news, and indeed just stuff that I'd like to talk about here on the channel. So thanks for hanging out with me. I hope to see you back here soon. Peace.